I'm Claudia Catania, and you're listening to Playing on Air. You are about to hear Two Dads, written by David Auburn and directed by Claudia Weill. It features Bobby Cannavale and Peter Gallagher. David Auburn is a Tony and Pulitzer Prize winner for his play Proof. He's also authored screenplays and plays such as The Columnist and Lost Lake, and many shorts. Bobby Cannavale is not only active on stage, but also stars on HBO's Vinyl and is an Emmy winner for Will and Grace and Boardwalk Empire. His films, among many, include Blue Jasmine, Chef, and The Station Master. Peter Gallagher has starred in Broadway roles in On the 20th Century, Guys and Dolls, The Real Thing. You also know him from film and TV in titles like Sex, Lies, and Videotape, American Beauty, While You Were Sleeping, The O.C., Covert Affairs, and Californication. Director Claudia Weill is known for her landmark film Girlfriends, and now directs for the landmark TV show Girls. And now, Two Dads. We see two men in vacation clothes sitting on deck chairs.
Kids.
Yeah.
My son calls me last night. At 11:30, we're already in bed.
Sure.
Calls from Florida, and he...
Yeah, what's he doing there?
Oh, we've got him at a tennis academy.
No kidding.
Yeah, it's the second year.
How's that going?
Oh, okay. Not good, actually. Maybe a mistake. I don't know. I mean, he's 15, right? Probably should have started him younger if he was going to do it at all.
He must be a heck of a player.
Yeah, he's okay. I mean, yes, he's a heck of a public court player. You know, down at the rec center, he's a phenom. He's a legend. Down there, up against these Russian kids, Argentinians, I don't know. It's a different universe.
We went to Argentina 2 years ago. Terrific place. Best steaks I ever had. They have these ranches where they raise the cattle with real cowboys. You'd think you were in Wyoming.
I mean, these kids, they're ferocious. You know, it's not just a game to them. Look, I don't blame them. You know, they've got family starving back home in whatever, the Ukraine. It's not a game, you know. It's the difference between your family living on potatoes, your sister turning tricks in the streets of Kiev. Still, they're vicious little bastards.
That why he called?
No. He can take it. He says they cheat, though. You know, they try to psych you out.
Well, you can't blame them.
I feel sorry for them. Look, my boy, what the worst that can happen to him is what? He doesn't make it on the circuit. He becomes a country club pro somewhere.
Or goes to college.
Or gets a job. But no. Now he says he's more interested in music.
What does he play?
Nothing. Nothing. Play? I mean, you're kidding, right? No, he downloads. He downloads. I don't even know the terminology. He mashes up. He samples. I don't know. It's all computer. I can't listen to it. You don't listen to it. It's club music, dancing. What do I know? Maybe it's good. You know, maybe he's a Mendelssohn of the age. I don't know. All I know is he's not applying himself. He says the trainers are disappointed. You know, he's gotten two faults. I guess they have this, it's like a demerit board. You know, if you don't do something the way they want, they fault you. 6 faults and you're out.
Of the school?
Boom, out of the program. No appeal. You can reapply the next year, but for this one, that's it. No refund. This is $40,000 a year.
You've got to be kidding me.
Yeah, well, that's cheap. What do you think? They got a whole facility there. You know, they got trainers and coaches and equipment managers and the dorm and nutritionists and physical therapists, and all the Russian kids are on scholarship, of course. Right? The Czechs and the Hungarians. I mean, that's the joke, right? I'm paying for the 14-year-old Russian who's cleaning my kid's clock every day on the court. So, you know, he gets discouraged. He stays up in the dorm every night, downloading riffs or beats or whatever the hell they are. So he's too tired to pick up a racket in the morning.
So why'd he call?
He wants money.
Ah, what else?
He wants a new laptop.
Sure.
I mean, a laptop? You know, if he wanted a new tennis racket, that would... You're at a tennis academy, for God's sake. Ask me for some shoes, you know? I mean, he wanted to go. We said this means leaving your friends. This means a very difficult life. You know, we can't come with you. Some parents, the Russian parents, they get to a condo near the school, right? They're there every day. What, you think they want to stay in Siberia? Hell no. Right? They come over. They come over to sunny Florida. They're there every minute screaming at the other players. That my kid screaming at the coaches. They're not allowed on the court, but in the locker rooms and the cafeteria, watch out. You know, you coach my kid. My kid is the one you coach. The others are far. The hell with them. And we told them, we can't be there with you. Your mother cannot leave her job. I cannot leave my job. Okay, he says. You know, it was very moving. Mom, Dad, I'll miss you, but I love this game. This game is my life. I'm only happy when I'm playing. Of course, I'll get him the computer.
You can get a top-of-the-line laptop now for about $600. Internet, everything.
Yeah, I don't know what kind he wants, but that's not the kind he wants. But you got any kids?
Daughter.
Oh, that's good. Daughters are good.
Yes.
A whole different ballgame.
Yes.
How old?
Just turned 23.
Oh, so you're out of the woods.
What do you mean?
The teen years.
Oh. Yes.
So she's out of the house, isn't she?
Yes.
Not that I want my son out of the house. He should be in the house. You know, we told him to come back. Maybe we should have just... I don't know. Anyway.
No, she's got a boyfriend she lives with.
Well, that must be interesting, watching that.
I don't know about interesting.
But that's one thing about sons. You don't have any of that, my little girl.
Well, she's not little. Is what you tell yourself, and what you find out.
They're going to do what they want to do.
That's right. You can't really influence them. You can maybe adjust the trajectory a little bit. You can try to guide, but after a certain point, no. You have very little control. She met him at work. She was his supervisor, actually.
Ah.
Well, they dated a little. Then they moved in together.
Well.
I don't think it was 3 weeks. Her mother and I didn't find out until after he moved in. He moved in with her into her place. She said she was happy.
Well, they lived their lives. Right?
We met him once. Dinner. He paid. I meant to, but he must have said something to the waiter when we weren't looking, because she brought the check right to him. He had the credit card out and he slipped it in the book, and he had this grin. So proud of himself. Like he's pulled off the most incredible stunt, like a master thief in a movie who'd knocked off some high-security vault, some perfectly executed caper. Afterward, I found out it was her card.
How?
Because I pay the bills on that card.
Oh. So...
Yeah, so.
Yeah.
But still, after the meal, my wife and I both thought, well, that was perfectly fine. We didn't have any real impression of him, either of us. We didn't talk about it much, either. We just thought, well, fine. Maybe a little overeager, kind of, unctuous. But maybe that's just disguised nervousness. He's meeting his girl's parents, after all. And Cynthia seems happy.
Well, that's good. At the end of the day...
So a month after that, when she calls from the hospital, we had no idea. And it wasn't as though she made up some story. I fell down the stairs, or I ran into the, whatever, a door. I just came into the room, not the room, the place. The place where the doctor's stitching up a lip. And there's already a cast on her wrist and her hand, and they've got her little finger brace sticking out like she's drinking tea. She wasn't crying. She just very quickly says, like she's trying to get out of the way, "He hit me, Daddy." The first thing out of my mouth, I regretted. Who? Stupid. She just rolled her eyes. And the second thing was just as bad, I guess. "I'll kill him." I did want to. I still have my service revolver. I pictured using it, or just shoving it into the little his mouth, scaring him, jamming it right past his teeth, feeling the metal bang against his teeth, chipping his teeth.
Whoa.
Yeah, the crap that slops through your head, you don't control it, really. She looked at me with this, I don't know, contempt. I don't think of her as a princess or someone needed rescuing, but she is my little girl. And anyway, no. She looks at me like I'm an idiot. And right there, I see it's all off the table, all of it. Just out of the question, confronting him, leaving him, moving out, counseling, any of it. Not that we didn't try. We argued with her for days. I made myself literally hoarse. I'd get tired, my wife would take over, her voice gave out, arguing, pleading, being logical, being emotional. I have a friend, a psychiatrist. I have another friend, a police detective. Would she talk to them? Just talk to them. They're experts. They deal with this kind of thing all the time. Nothing. Well, she'd listen. But she was obviously going to go right back to him. I thought, is there something we don't? Is this some sexual thing?
Don't even.
It's the last thing you want to picture, but that's where the mind goes. You're flailing for any explanation. She moved back. She went right back to her apartment, which he had never left.
Well, kids.
Yeah.
You just heard Two Dads, written by David Auburn and directed by Claudia Weill. It featured Bobby Cannavale as Dad 1 and Peter Gallagher as Dad 2. We are fortunate to be here with playwright David Auburn, director Claudia Weill, and cast members Bobby Cannavale and Peter Gallagher. Thank you so much for coming to talk with us.
Thanks for having us.
My pleasure. David Auburn, playwright. One of the scarier things in life, that bad things can happen to good people, and seriously troubled kids can happen to good parents. Could you have written this piece if you were not a father yourself?
I don't think so.
Not as well.
No, we were talking about this before rehearsal, and it turns out we all have children, and it's that remarkable experience you have where you don't really have any control, or you have far less control than you think you have, and that's something I wouldn't have expected before I became a parent. So it definitely influenced the writing of this play.
Bobby Cannavale, as Dave's play progresses, your character moves from propelling your own personal story about your kid in tennis camp to unlocking a personal tragic story and response from a stranger about his kid. In terms of acting, is it more of a challenge to move the action the way you did in the first half, or to be moved by the action, or is it difficult either way?
I suppose, I only have this experience to go by, so the play's constructed in that way, and so I kind of know what my job is as an actor, which is to move through that story, even though it might come off as very humorous, the guy is just as frustrated with his powerlessness. But of course, it's written kind of very brilliantly, I think, and to get us to this other story. And so I do think that there's a rhythm to the first half of it that sets up the second half really beautifully. And so, yeah, that's why you get together with Claudia, and the four of us get together and we really talk about what the rhythm of the form of the play is. It's a 10-minute play, and so it's sort of constructed that way kind of brilliantly. But you do have to know what your role is, and so
right. And it switches for you. And then David brings it full circle in terms of the kids at the end being so much more imbued with.
Yeah, I mean, it starts with the word kids and ends with the word kids, and what I liked is anytime you've got parents around and you start talking about your kid, it just instantly triggers you to think about your kid. You almost don't hear the story that's coming at you. It just makes you think about your kids. And it's sort of what happens here in this play, He just hears Argentina and remembers Argentina. He's not hearing the story at all. And I find myself doing that all the time, talking, somebody's telling me about their kid and it triggers a thought for me.
Because we're actors.
No, I think that's a common thing. I really do. And I think David, captures it perfectly.
Claudia, while you're a theater, film, and TV director, but you've done a lot of film and TV. And do you find that those skills aid you in directing for the stage?
I think directing theater aids you in film and TV. More, because once you understand subtext or what it is you're directing, which isn't the dialogue, it's what's causing the dialogue to be spoken, that then it's easy to direct in any medium. But if you start in film, I started in theater. Then I went into TV. No, then I went into film. Then I went into TV, and then back to theater. So I think theater is the heart of it, the heart of the craft.
I hear that so much in terms of actors.
Yeah, for directors too.
For directors too.
Staging, it's like physicalizing what's going on in the piece.
Peter Gallagher, Dad 2. The father you play is in an almost unthinkably painful situation. How do you deal with playing this kind of role if you had to 8 times a week?
Toughest thing about doing 8 shows a week is when not all the performances are what you'd hoped it'd be. I remember when I was doing Long Day's Journey with Jack Lemmon and Kevin Spacey a few years ago. It wasn't the fact that, my mother was a morphine addict in the play. What we discovered was that the real heartache, the real challenge, is not playing a murderer or a heartbroken dad or a consumptive. It's when you don't do it very well or when you miss a few beats. But I remember what George Scott said to me once. He said, well, if you have 2 shows a week, you don't want to kill yourself after. That's pretty good. So I think this role, like every other role, the first thing would be showing up and knowing you have another show coming the next day to try to get it right. And that's pretty much what, for all of us, it's all about, I think.
Bobby Cannavale, what remains seductive about theater?
It's what I've always wanted to do. I just like how long you get to work on a play. I just like it. I'm a rehearsal rat, I like to be in rehearsal, and I like to take my time discovering a piece and discovering a character and bonding with my ensemble, and you don't get to do that as much in film and television. I just love being on stage more than any of the other mediums. It's just the way I'm built, I guess.
David Auburn, playwright, and Claudia Weill, director. Lots of people are unfamiliar with the short play form and refer to short plays as skits or vignettes. Can you both describe a little bit what a short play is and also the actors here and how does it rise above a skit or a vignette?
Well, I think that a short play has the same relationship to a full-length play that a short story has to a novel, and there aren't a lot of outlets for short plays, so people don't get to see them as much as they get to read short stories. But I think what you want is for the play to feel complete, so that at the end of it you haven't felt like you've watched the first scene of something. You felt like you've created a whole world, everything about these characters that you need to know, you've learned in the space of this short time, and there's a kind of compression, and the energy that comes out of that compression is really exciting. So it's a great, it's a great form. I love working within that form. It's exhilarating when you can kind of pack it all into a short space.
Yeah, and it's a form that is inherently dramatic, as it leads to a reveal usually, and the power of that reveal in a short period of time, when you're working on a certain assumption and then it turns, as this piece does so brilliantly, is just inherently dramatic and powerful.
Well, thank you. Thank you, David Auburn, playwright of Two Dads, Claudia Weill, its director, Bobby Cannavale, who played Dad 1, and Peter Gallagher, who played Dad 2. You've been listening to Playing on Air, Great American Short Plays with Great American Actors. Original music by Tom Cochan. Recording and sound design by John Kilgore. Assistant producer, Sasha Spitzer. Literary and development by Sanford Wilson. And distributed by PRX. Check us out online at playingonair.org and find us on Facebook or Twitter at Playing On Air. Leave us a comment on iTunes. We'd love to hear from you. Thanks for listening. For Playing On Air, I'm series producer Claudia Catania.